What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle John, where we pluck stories from Reddit and around the web that interest me, you, and whoever else. Tech support's been really slow this week, so again, we're not going to do tech support today. Today is going to be Malicious Compliance. Always a fan favorite. And by the way, let me know down below, what other subreddits do you guys like to listen to? You know, we got Pro Revenge, all kinds of stuff. The Am I the A-Holes is good for, once every couple weeks fill in, I'm sure. Tales from the Squad Car is kind of slow, so that's good for a couple times a year maybe. But let me know down below what else you guys like to listen to, and we'll see if we can work it in. All right, let's get to the stories. Raising my son to comply maliciously. The other day I found a laundry basket upside down in my room with our little vacuum robot, Terry, underneath of it. I asked my 5-year-old, why did you put a basket over Terry? Now his battery's dead and he's all sad. He says Terry was already sitting still, so I put the basket on him. I said, well, buddy, you should have let me and Mom know Terry was stuck. If you see something, say something. Cue malicious compliance. Him for the next 3 minutes. Oh, Dad, I see a thing. Oh, Dad, I see a thing. Dad, I see a thing. Oh, Dad, I see a thing. Oh, Dad, I see a thing. Yeah, you get the idea. Pointing at each thing he saw along the way. I laughed for a while, then cried uncle. Kids have this uncanny ability, and I do it sometimes to my wife, so I guess I'm basically just a big kid. But anyway, they have this uncanny ability to, follow things literally. If you see something, say something. And that's exactly what he did. See? Kids will get you every time. Can you do that someplace else? This will be a quick one, y'all. I'm a middle-aged cashier with hypoglycemia, among other hard-to-spell ailments. Don't get me wrong, I'm no withering waif. We've all got problems. In this day, this problem became a, problem. Prickly nestled in the Phoenix desert lies your Arizona hometown grocer, Masha's. Since the pandemic, U-Scan has been all the rage, literally. Masha's insists that only one live, actual scanning thinking cashier is scheduled. That sexy beast is me. During 40 to 50% of my shift, I'm busy, non-stop scanning and bagging. Yes, we have no bananas/baggers. To my heart's dismay. No problem, it's a job. Cool beans. But when my second front-end guy who runs the U-Scan leaves the back for the last half of the shift, I'm caught between ringing up, plus jumping over to an assortment of angry eyes waiting for me to scan their overrides. These overrides happen frequently. Anytime liquor is purchased, cough syrup, etc., it's all me. Things get busy. I get thirsty. I drink water. Sounds simple enough. I feel a spell coming on, even after water, so I know I need sugar, and fast. So I bust open a Coke and guzzle it like it's my job. I must have looked like a commercial for the product. The second I hit that second ounce, I hear her nasally, "You're effing disgusting. Do you have to do that here? Go do that someplace else." Then she sputtered into a curse-laden tirade that I swear involved the word donut someplace. She also called me fat. Not cool, Broheim. I stopped, explainagized that I desperately needed sugar for my blood sugar, while simultaneously opting to deliver some good old-fashioned malicious compliance. You know what? You're right. I shouldn't be drinking soda right here. Let me go someplace else. So I did. I sauntered if you will, right to the manager's office as I leave behind a parade of customers whose anger now transmogrified, wow, that's a hard one, into one super being, a la Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, shifting it toward the cursor. I told my manager, I need to sit down. I haven't had a break in 6 hours and need to refuel stat. They're out there waiting. Then sat while he went to deal with the leftovers. I took a seat in the deli area, slowly sipping my soda and watching my manager try to deal with what I've been dealing with my whole life. Imagine a diapered version of myself. The main complainer wound up leaving, groceryless and even angrier, flipping off no one in particular. Huzzah! I missed a lot in the moment, but evidently many of the customers were regulars and stood up for me in the best way, by collectively telling her where she can go and what she can do when she gets there. First of all, how can an employer make you work 6 hours with no break? There's something wrong here, because I'm pretty sure there's either a 4-hour time limit. It's either 4 or 5 before you can, before you legally have to give someone a break, a 15-minute break or whatever it is in your state, your province, whatever. But I mean, that's a pretty widespread thing. And honestly, from that point on, if you feel an episode coming on, I would just basically do what you did the second time. I would basically just grab my soda and I would walk off and sit down and send somebody out to cover you. Screw them. Sugar levels are nothing to play around with, so I mean, I don't really get too much of that. Once in a while, I get weird things going on when I don't eat right, or if I eat too much, or, but I don't know. Maybe I should visit the doctor. Won't let me work? Okay. A few years ago at my place of employment, they decided to bring in a new safety glasses policy. As I was a member of the safety committee, I was tasked with finding a company who could supply safety glasses that could fit our employees, and with a new criteria. It had to pass a pencil fit test. By this I mean a regular pencil should not be able to pass around any part of the glass to enter the eye area. A tight fit, as it were. I found a company that was able to come out and provide us with a choice of 120 different models and styles to choose from. This would allow us to fit everyone from fat to thin faces, tall, slim faces, hawk-shaped, big-nosed, you name it. We would be able to get them fit. I thought that it was in the bag, piece of cake, or any other platitude you could think of. I almost dislocated my arm patting myself on the back. Well, of course, management has to step in and say, this doesn't work for us. Their solution? Find a company that only has 6 different styles of glasses and make it work. Of course. As I wear prescription lenses, these new style glasses were not designed for this. They only have inserts which are clipped on the inside. Well, to make the glasses pencil fit, the glasses fit, the frames are curved to fit your face. Hence, the insert is bent to fit the frame. Now just imagine taking your glasses and bending them to sit tight on your face. See how this distorts your vision? Now cue malicious compliance. I reported to my boss that I couldn't wear the new glasses as they distort my vision and gave me headaches. Their solution was to have me try each model of glasses one at a time and get lenses made for them to see if I could find one that would work. Knowing that no matter what they did, wearing curved frames wouldn't work, every time I got new glasses lenses made, I made sure that they were high index, UV resistant, tinted, scratch resistant, and the best money could buy. I bought lenses for all 6 frame types at a cost of just over $7,000. Oh my god. At the end of this, I went to see my eye specialist, and he wrote me a letter stating that I'm not able to wear the new style glasses as they would damage my eyes. I took this letter into work and showed it to my boss. They didn't know what to do with me. I showed up for work every day, dressed and ready to work, but they never assigned me any work, as it would be too dangerous, even though I had worn my old safety glasses for the last 25 years. Suddenly, it's too dangerous, so they had me just sitting in the lunchroom. I would play games on the computer. I was going to night school, so I completed a semester of school and basically just screwed around. One day I was playing video games and our number 2 big boss walked in and saw me. I said good morning with a big smile and a wave. He didn't. A couple days later, our number 1 boss walked in while I was reading the newspaper and he asked me what I was doing. And I said, reading the paper. He said, why? I said, they told me it's too dangerous out there for me. The next day I was back at work. 10.5 weeks I was off and suddenly the policy was changed. Just love it when management steps in and tries to improve things. Now, trying to get a safer work environment, nothing at all wrong with that. That's actually to be commended. Most places could give a rat's ass if you are actually safe. The problem comes when they have this rigid, one-size-fits-all, gotta make it work kind of thing. And I can't believe they even let you order those glasses at a cost of $7,000, quite honestly, but whatever. For me, the solution would be, okay, if I need very little air clearance between my skin and the edge of the glasses, and I had to wear regular glasses to work, no contacts, whatever, then I would probably opt for some sort of goggles, and I would modify them just enough so that they didn't rest on the earpieces for my glasses and make that work. Also, maybe cut in a couple little ventilation slots. You know, I know they have holes in them, but sometimes they still fog up on you. But yeah, I mean, goggles is really about as safe as you can get in most cases, as far as, you know, little things flying into your eyes. I should wear more safety glasses and goggles, but I tend not to. Maybe I'll change. They wanted me to use water-based paint on metal, so I did. So this happened about a month ago. I work as an industrial painter. I paint machinery. And typically whenever I get a job, they tell me what paint to use and color. But on this very day, I got an atypical job in which they wanted me to use water-based paint, latex, on a carbon steel job. Ugh, that's going to be bad. Now, I went to my boss and told her this won't work because this paint will make it rust. But she said, I don't care, just use the paint. They're going to be here next week. I got her to write down the paint I was to use with her signature and said, sure. If you don't understand, putting water on a rustable metal is generally a bad idea, as rust ruining not only the paint job, but possibly weakening the metal itself. I did my job. After a day of prep work, I painted it and let it sit for a couple of days to dry and cure. And a week after that, she came up to me expressing how it looks horrible as the rust was showing through the metal. I said I followed your instructions to the letter and told her that the water and air will make metal rust. Makes sense to me. After a little back and forth, she conceded that she was in the wrong, but asked how do we fix it. Best option? Sandblast it and get all the paint off, and use an oil-based paint. It was enamel. She got me the sand I needed, and she trusts me. When I say it's not going to work, it won't work. So that's my story. You gotta trust the guy that's got the experience and who you trust to daily do the tasks you put in front of him. If this guy's got experience and he says that water-based paint, water, is going to make things rust, it's going to make things rust. Now, with one caveat, you can put water-based paint over top of carbon steel, but you got to seal it with an oil-based primer at the very least, usually a primer and maybe an oil-based top coat, and then you can do a coating of latex, but it's really not worth it. Just stay oil all the way, and that way you're sure that nothing you did is going to weaken that steel or make it flake or just in general look ugly. People are amazing. Malicious Compliance standoff. About 15 years ago, I used to work in the highly regulated area of inbound mortgage sales in the UK. Our calls were monitored for compliance, and multiple failed calls led to action plans being put in place to get you back on track. Well, I had a terrible start of the year and failed 3 calls in a row. The usual follow-up and support didn't happen, and I turned things around and passed the next 4 months of calls with no action plan needed. In month 4, I get called into a meeting to discuss my need for an action plan. I was confused as it had been so long since I'd failed a call. I was referred back to the call from the start of the year. I mentioned that I felt the action plan was unwarranted as I had turned this around myself, even without the support, and putting me on an action plan now was definitely closing the stable door after the horses had bolted. I was told that this was non-negotiable. Okay, fair enough. The action plan is drawn up and there is a section for my comments. I state the dates of my failed calls and the record since the last failed calls and my disappointment that the support was not offered at the time of need. I was told I wasn't allowed to record this on the performance plan. What they didn't realize at this time is how petty I am, so I researched the HR handbook and printed out the section stating implicitly I was allowed to put any info I wanted recognizing this is in this section. I updated the performance plan to state I had been told I couldn't record my objections, the manager who told me that, and added the HR handbook section for good measure. I'm not sure what I just read there. Well, it turns out we were due for an inspection, and not intervening when there was a record of failed calls was a big issue. My diverting the lack of support back to management wouldn't look good. They wouldn't sign off on my plan as it stood, and I would not back down either. The result was I was not allowed to do my job. I was already job searching elsewhere, but I managed to spend 3 months being paid to job search and be available for additional government tasks. This mostly ended up with me playing Mario Kart in the break room until busy work could be found elsewhere. When I eventually gave my notice, I was immediately put on a month's paid leave to get me out as soon as they could. Yeah, it's so important to have an action plan that they waited several months to call you out on something that could have used action right away. Now, OP happened to be able to turn it around on their own? Bravo! Once that's done and you start looking, okay, you see that there was an action the first of the year, great. Look back through everything and say, okay, well, they turned it around. They haven't had anything since. There's no point. Maybe we'll just have a sit down for 5 minutes, say, hey, we noticed this thing, just want to make sure everything's going well now. It looks like it is. Whatever. What went wrong? And what did you do to fix it? Because maybe that could help somebody else in the future. Nope. That'd be too much like right. We just got to stay rigid and, action plan. And then try to force you to do something that's totally against your HR policy. That's genius. Sometimes compliance is more fun. Background. This happened in the early 90s, just after the Cold War was silently dropped. In my country, we had universal draft for any fit young man. The setup. I was stationed in a camp up north. Boredom reigned supreme. The camp had 2 gates, the main gate to the south at the end of a dead-end street, a few hundred meters from the main road, and a rear gate to the north. The officers' mess and the bachelor officers' quarters was just outside the gate. To go from the rear gate to the main gate outside the camp, one would have to go out to the main road, move south some 100 meters, and then up that dead-end street. The instructions for guard duty at the gates was really simple. If you personally know the person and know that the person in question is actively serving, if the person can show military ID, or if someone in the first 2 categories can vouch for them, you can let them in. Otherwise, they have to get in touch with the guard commander, usually located in the guardhouse just outside the main gate. No ID required to leave. Since the regular mess hall serves something borderline edible on the good days, most officers would eat in the officers' mess. Since the Cold War was over, Most on guard duty wouldn't bother with the required ID checks. The malicious compliance. Service in the North is boring. Guard duty is also boring. My troop found that checking IDs, especially at the rear gate, could be a little fun though. In the morning, quite a few would forget their wallet with their ID in their rooms and have to run back to get it. No big deal. Going back in and get the wallet was just 5 minutes, but a little bit of a hassle when they were already running late. And the later they were running, the more probable it was they had forgotten their IDs. The real deal was after lunch, since a lot would leave their ID in the office, and so they wouldn't have any way to collect it without getting into the camp. So they would have to go around nearly a kilometer and then go to the guard captain and get a note so they could enter through the main gate. Easily at least 15 minutes extra on less than a 5-minute stroll back from lunch. Seems a lot of the officers in our direct chain of command, so we had to know them, or that had their ID ready, found this fun as well, since getting a colleague to vouch for them seemed difficult. The ones declining would be smiling and laughing about it. We got a lot of attaboys for following protocol, even from officers we had denied access. I guess if you're stationed somewhere where everything is boring, you got to do something to liven up your day, I guess. I'm not sure I would mess with officers, but hey, if you're following protocol, you're following protocol, so what are you going to do? I won't sing the whole song. I just remembered this. I've always loved the song Mr. Jones by Counting Crows, and part of that love comes from how much I enjoy singing along. My husband was on a Counting Crows kick a few months back, and the song came on. I gleefully sang the whole thing. He was a bit bothered after he said he liked the song a lot too, and it would be nice if I didn't sing the whole song every time it was on. My malicious compliance happened the next time we heard the song, on a drive back home from an event. I kept my word and didn't sing the whole song, instead singing every Mrs. Jones mention, and only the Mr. Jones mentions. Did I say Mrs. before? Damn. Oh well. Through the whole song. It was a fun experiment actually. I highly recommend it. He hasn't complained about me in the song since. We have a thing here. I live in Maryland, in case someone didn't know, the east coast of the U.S. And so our ball team is the Baltimore Orioles. That's our major league baseball team here. And every time the national anthem is played anywhere in the state, when you get to the "Oh Say Can You See," everybody in the crowd will goes "Oh" really loudly and really obnoxiously. I mean, whatever. Do what you're going to do, but it's getting kind of old. It's been going on for a long time now, and even at the minor league games that we like to go to, it's just not funny anymore. So anyway, same kind of deal, I think. It's tolerable, but whatever. Following the rules gave me a company car. First time poster on Reddit. Hope I do this correctly. Apparently, second time forgot about the first. I work as a painter and had just finished my apprenticeship and got my journeyman letter. An apprentice never has a company car. That usually takes some time after you've done your validation and become a journeyman. However, my boss told me they got a car and he wanted it to be a pool car, but that I was going to use it whenever no one else needed it. I say, so you'll drive me to work tomorrow so I can take it home then? Boss says, no, it's a pool car. It's to be parked on company grounds during the night. Cue malicious compliance. I usually had a 40 to 60 minute drive to a job. That meant I had to be at the company between 5 and 6 depending on the area to drive to. We worked 7 to 4. But I'm not going to do that. After a week of me picking the car up at 7 from company grounds and leave it by 4:30, my boss calls me into a meeting. He wants to write me up for not showing up to work in time. I have to follow the 8 hours a day. I say, you're right. I'll start to leave the car at 4 instead of 4:30. Boss says, what? No, you're supposed to be at the place at 7 and leave there by 4. I say, well, I drive a pool car. According to the union rules, a pool car is to leave the company grounds at 7 and be parked by 4. That's the rules. I have to follow them. Boss says, I'll pick you up tomorrow by 6:15. Nice. This boss is some kind of special. Okay, you created a pool car. There are rules in place for the company. There's also union rules. You basically had yourself backed into a corner the moment you said something about there being a pool car. You basically should have just left well enough alone and said, for certain jobs, if you need the pool car, take it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I've ever worked for a place where you had to go to the shop first and still be at the job by 7, especially on a union job. Usually if your start time is 7 o'clock and you have to be at the shop every morning, then 7 o'clock is your start time at the shop. And then whatever time it takes to get to the job site. If they want me there early, they're going to pay me early. If they want me to, drop a vehicle, leave the job at 4, then they're going to pay me for that time back to the shop, regardless, whether I have a company car or not. Now, if I'm driving straight from home to the job site, that's different. You don't pay for my time in. But yeah, I'll never understand why companies try to do this crap. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the stories. Let me know down below what kind of other Reddit stories you want to hear. And until the next video, we'll see you. Oh yeah, see that thing there? Do me a favor and go to that website. Uncle John needs a new recording studio where there's no noise. Maybe we can even get the cats to come along.